Here are 7 things to do after you've been injured in an accident. Now, when we talk about an accident, most commonly we think of a car accident. But there are other kinds of accidents too, like, for example, if you slip and fall inside a grocery store or on the sidewalk outside of some place of business that you've been going to that day. There are many different kinds of accidents, and one of the most important things that you need to do, and this will be number 1, one of the most important things you need to do is to take pictures of the scene of the accident. It is the easiest and most powerful way to recreate for your lawyer, for a judge, for a jury down the road, actually what the situation was on that day when you were injured. So that's number 1. Number 2, get estimates of any property damage. Now, for example, if your car was damaged and you had to have it towed, you had to have it repaired, you had to rent a car while your car, which was damaged, was being repaired. You want to get documentation of all of this. Paperwork, we sometimes call it. All of this is proof. It's evidence that proves positively what it was that you had to expend, you had to pay money for because of the car accident. Number 3, and this may be the most important one of all because it involves your health. Go see a doctor. If you have any doubts whatsoever about whether you've been physically injured in your accident, you need to go see a doctor. Now, this isn't lawyer's advice, this is just common sense. You want to make sure that you're okay, or if you're not, you get the proper medical treatment. But part of that doctor's visit, visiting the doctor, is you want to get medical records that describe that you've been to the doctor, what kind of advice the doctor gave you, prescriptions, therapy, that sort of thing. And also, we talked a little bit earlier about pictures of the scene of the accident. You also want to get pictures of your injury, particularly if you have bruising, scarring, any cuts or abrasions. So those things sometimes will resolve, hopefully they will, and they'll go away one day, but you want to be able to recreate for your audience, judge or jury, what it was like in the immediate aftermath of your injury. Number 4, once again, keep track of all of your bills. This time I'm talking about medical bills. It's another kind of bill, another kind of expense, something that you had to pay money for because of the accident. It's something that you want to prove so you can recover it as part of your case. And with all of these things, all of this paperwork that I'm talking about, you want to get them to your lawyer. Now, one of the things I would hope it would go without saying is you want to get a lawyer involved in the process as soon as possible. But some of these things, for example, taking a picture of the scene of the accident, you're really probably going to have to do before you get a lawyer involved because it's important to do right away. But needless to say, with all of this paperwork, ultimately it needs to go to the lawyer who's going to represent you with your claim. Number 5, you want to keep a diary. Now this isn't immediately obvious to most people, but let me explain why a diary is so important. A diary of your pain, of your suffering, how you're feeling about what's happened to you, both mentally and physically. The reason it's so important is usually in a court case, if your case doesn't settle, you wind up in front of a judge or a jury, and it may be a year or even 2 years after the accident. And you may have a problem remembering all of the important details that you want that judge or jury to understand. A diary will be a good source of handy information for you, so it won't be that difficult to remember what you were going through. So keep that daily diary, and again, provide that to your lawyer as well. Number 6, and here's one that a lot of people miss, but it's so important. Just as you'd go to a doctor for a physical injury, if you have a headache, or your neck is sore, or your leg feels broken, your arm is hurt, you're having trouble breathing, you'd go to a doctor for a physical injury and you wouldn't even think about it. But what about a mental injury? What if you've been in a car accident and afterwards now you're afraid to drive again, or you have these fears of getting in a car again, or you have these fears of going to the place where the accident occurred and you were injured? Well, there are doctors for that too, and sometimes it's the mental health injuries from an accident that endure the longest. Your broken arm will heal, but your fear of getting in the car again because you're afraid you're going to get in an accident again, sometimes those don't heal, or they take longer to heal, particularly if you're not getting the mental health advice that you need. So go see a mental health doctor if you have any concerns about post-traumatic stress syndrome, fears, that sort of thing resulting from the accident. So that's number 6. And number 7, one of the most important things to tell your lawyer about is lost wages, lost compensation from your job. If you've not been able to be out on the job, to go to work, to go out and try to sell things if you're a salesperson, these are financial costs to you. They're part of your, what lawyers call, damages, right? You want to tell your lawyer about any kind of compensation you've lost from work due to the accident. Your lawyer will tell you how to properly document it, and then you want that documentation to be part of your file, so you've got as powerful a case as is possible, and put yourself in the best position to win the case.